The society will always remain an admixture. And you have to find. Everyone is to be judged by the friends he has. There is a proverb, tell me who your friends are. I know what you are. Kamamashritya dushpuram dambhamanamadhanvidaha mohad grihitva asadgrahan pravartande ashujivrataha. See, our country believes a great deal in rituals and ceremonies, pujas, etc. Vajashravas performed a sacrifice, I told you. Any sacrifice is supposed to make the performer far more holier, far more ascetic, far more devotional, far more noble and benevolent. In the midst of that performance, he ruthlessly sent his son to the abode of Yama. This must be a lesson for all of you. It is not the puja room that you keep and the mere pujas that you perform that really determine the character and quality of your mind. What kind of thoughts you have, what attitudes you have, what objectives you foster. Are you harmful to any extent in your thoughts, words and deeds? How much you feel for the others? Are you installing God in your own heart so that you will always be godly? Do you consider the world to be ephemeral, evanescent and fleeting? And what is unfleeting there? Somewhere or the other, these thoughts should strike your imagination. So these people are kamamashritya dushpuram dambhamanamadhanvidaha. From Gita, 16th chapter. It starts from the 10th verse. Dushpuram kamam ashritya. They are giving vent to their kama, their passion and greed. But actually it is dushpuram. Dushpurena anale enaja. Like fire, however much firewood you give, the fire will burn and ask for more and more. Similarly, the desire or greed in the human mind is never going to be satiated or fulfilled. It will only get inflamed. Dambhamanamadhanvidaha. They have all kinds of hypocrisy, conceitedness, infatuation. Mohad grihitva asadgrahan. It's all because of their love and passion for the body, for the sensory pleasures the body gives you. Pravartande ashujivrataha. Ashujivrataha. They are performing a lot of vrata, but in all that vrata you will find that purity of the mind is not there. The purity of objective is not there. Chintam aparimeyam cha pralayam tam upashtidaha kamopabhoga parama yetavaditi nishchidaha. Their arguments will be, after all, what is it? We are born. And till we die, we should live comfortably, luxuriously, enjoyingly, come what may. Now this kind of an arrogant and a deluded talk alone will please them. That is what comes out of their mouth. One thought after the other, one ambition after the other, one desire and greed after the other, they will continue to foster. I am reminded of Duryodhana. This Duryodhana, right from his young age, he could not sleep comfortably because of the jealousy and hatred he fostered towards Pandavas. And what all thing he did. And he was also a Vedic person. He also performed ritual sacrifices, etc. So it is not the mere performance that matters. It is the performer, his inner constitution that matters. Pralayantam upashridaha. They always foster thoughts, concerns, cares and feelings till the point of death. Till the point of death. Kamopabhoga parama. Everywhere kama and bhoga, these alone dominate. Kama means desire and greed. Bhoga means enjoyment. Always these two factors dominate in their speech. Everywhere, spend as much money as possible. Eat, 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 eat. Eat, go on eating and make a lot of variety. What is all this? Our eating should be to preserve the body. Hey, there are two questions before you. Are you eating to live or living to eat? If you start saying that we are living only to eat, I can only express pity for you. Even excess food is poisonous. So there must be a limit. Let us eat moderately so that our body will be healthy. And give such food which can be assimilated properly by your stomach and the alimentary canal. Don't load them. Don't make it irksome or uncomfortable for them. So there must be a consideration. Etavaditi nishchidaha. Don't worry about anything else. Live somehow. And till the death it shall be so. Asha pasha shatayir baddhaha kamakrodha parayanaha. See, these people are like this. Asha pasha shataihi baddhaha. They are bound firmly and strongly by the rope of asha, desire, in a very strong, inescapable manner. Kama, krodha, parayana. Their only refuge and anchor is getting angry with anybody. Kama and krodha. Love and hatred. Ihande kama bhoga artham anyayena artha sanchayan. They want money to enjoy life, to purchase the goods that they want. How to get it? If the right means will not allow them, resort to the bad means. See, we are speaking a lot about graft, bribery, etc. What is all this? A government appoints an officer, a gazetted officer. He has been given powers on behalf of the country, on behalf of the people. So he sits there as an officer. He is supposed to give sanction. And he is paid by the exchequer, by the government, tax money from the people. But he brings another element. I will exercise my authority and give you the sanction, provided you give me, I don't know whether it runs into lakhs or crores. Tell me whether it is right or not. Anyayena artha sanchayan. Anyayena. Using the power bestowed by the government, by the people, how can you put an additional price, something additional to the salary you get? What is this? It is anyaya, it is not reasonable. Ihande kama bhoga artham. Why is he asking for it? Only because of the desire. He wants a better house, a better or a greater comfort, greater luxury. I always ask these people whenever I get an opportunity from a platform, I speak generally, so nobody is particularly hurt. But I cannot tell anybody individually, then he will be hurt. Generally I can make. See, I am looking at the camera and speaking, and so many of you are hearing. Let me ask you one thing. If you have taken a bribe and you go and tell your children, look, your father, I have taken so much of bribe, and tell your friends and the neighbors, will they accept you? Is it something honorable? No, it cannot be honorable. Suppose your son tells you that I have thieved somebody's article, will you accept it? Is it not thieving? The money belonging to the government, you are taking away. What is this? This is called steya. Steya. Ihande kama bhoga artham anyayena artha sanchayan. By the money and wealth begotten by evil means, improper means, they are trying to fulfill their desires. What do they say? Idamadhyamaya labdham imam prapsye manoratham idam asti idam api me bhavishyati punardhanam. Idamadhya maya labdham imam prapsye manoratham. Oh, I have done this much, I have attained this much, I have got this much. This particular desire I have fulfilled. I have something more to achieve. Now I have got 5 acres of land. By 2 years, 2013, I want to make it 15. This is he saying. Go on adding your possessions, adding to your possessions. Idam asti idam api me bhavishyati punardhanam. Calculate all the wealth and assets that you have and then turn over. One woman was telling me, Her husband, he has retired from a job and he has got some money, provident fund, gratuity, etc. Many times in a month, he will go on calculating, taking the fixed deposits, etc., and turning over, and seeing how much it will be more, how much it will be more. This kind of people also are there. The money will accrue. Why are you repeatedly thinking about it? Because they have nothing else to think. Bhavishyati punardhana. So by that year, it will be this. By this year, it will be so much. This kind of a calculation. Asau maya hatashatruhu harishye chaparanapi ishvaro hamaham bhogi siddhoham belavan sukhi. See, these are the feelings and self-assurances they indulge in. Asau maya hatashatruhu. This shatru, this enemy, has been done away by me. Harishye chaparanapi. There are a few more people, I will finish them also. Ishwaroham. In that, I am uncontrollable. I cannot be controlled by anybody, deterred by anyone. Bhogi, siddhoham, belavan sukhi. I don't know why Sri Krishna uses all these words. Bhogi, siddhoham. I am a siddha, I am a bhogi, belavan. I am very powerful. Sukhi, I am comfortable. Adhyo bhijanavaanasmi konyosti sadrusho maya. Such people will also have a few people, psychophants, they will be by the side. And what will they say? Yes sir, whatever you are saying is right. You know, in all our governmental offices you will find, our ministers are working in the company of a number of secretaries, IAS officers. Even when they do something apparently not acceptable, there will be some officers to say, do, it is right sir, we can do it in this way. Everywhere some supporters are there. I always say, Hitler, one man could be cruel or wicked, but how is it that thousands and thousands of people agreed with Hitler and they were ready to execute his plans? This is how mankind or humanity is. Adhyo bhijanavaanasmi konyosti sadrsho maya. Adhyo abhijanavaanasmi. I am sufficiently rich. And with riches, whatever is necessary I can do. I am well born, belonging to a good family. Abhijatya is there. Konyosti sadrsho maya. Where will you find a person like me? Yes sir, nobody is there. You are unique. There are some supporters to say that. Yakshe dasyami modishya ityajnana vimohita. All these statements he is making actually are deluded statements. He is utterly deluded. Ajnana vimohitaha. He is deluded by ajnana, ignorance. Yakshe dasyami modishye. Whenever necessary, I will perform a yaga. I will call the priests, pay them a little more. So they will be at my beck and call, nod their head, agree to whatever I want to do. Dasyami, I will also give enough in the form of gifts. Modishye, I will also enjoy and rejoice. Now, in this way he is speaking. Why the Vedas are deluding? I said that Vedic people, it's not enough if they are Vedic and given to Vedic observances. We have to go into the spirit and purpose of the whole Vedic revelation and ultimately take to whatever is the best and the proper. Sri Krishna himself has to say this. Yamimam pushpidam vajam pravadandya vipaschidah veda vadarata partha nanyadasti divadinah kamatmanah swargapara janma karma phalapradam kriya vishesha bhagulam bhogaishwarya gadim pradi bhogaishwarya prasaktanam tayapahrita chetasam vyavasayatmikya buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate. I cannot explain these verses quite well because it will take a lot of time. At the same time, I want you to understand this. Don't dispose of our Vedic lore or spiritual and philosophical expositions simply without knowing anything. These are the critical statements made by Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, while he was talking to Arjuna in the battlefield. Yamimam pushpitam vajam pravadanti avipashchidaha. Looking into the entire Vedas, studying the Vedic literature, whoever says anything excessively about the flowery speeches of the Vedas, Yamimam pushpitam vajam pravadanti. All the rituals are promising you some reward or the other after the death. But will you ever be there to enjoy them, to achieve them? Our life becomes evident only after birth till death. After death or before death, what was the life? What is going to be the life? Who can say? They are inexperiential. Nobody has been able to experience it with proof. That being the case, should we not reject them? Do the Vedas have anything to tell me here and now? Here and now. Whatever is useful to me. Just like I am hunger, I appease my hunger by taking delicious food. In the same manner, can the Vedas offer anything to me right here and now, pleasant to the mind, comforting to the heart, and fulfilling to me inwardly? This should be your yardstick. Instead of that, Yamimam pushpidam vajam pravadanti avipashchidaha. The word avipashchidaha means one who has no discrimination. He doesn't have the discretion or discrimination. And he holds on to pushpitam vajam pravadanti, the flowery speech of the Vedas. They are flowery but not fruitful. And the best illustration is Palasha Kusuma. The Palasha tree, when it flowers, there will be no leaf at all. All are full of red flowers. One day I was going from Jamshedpur to Bokaro. See, in Kerala we don't have many Palasha trees, but they are very common in the north. So I looked at a few trees. I said, stop the car, let me go and see it. When I went there and examined, it's not a very tall tree with a number of spread out branches, full of red flowers. No one leaf is there. Everything is flower. You know, all the flowers will fall and no fruit will come. Generally, a flower is a precursor to a fruit in a good tree. But this particular tree is such that it has only flowers and not fruits. That is what he says. Pushpitam vacham. All the promises about heaven, the other world, Brahmaloka, Prajapati Loka, Swarloka, Maharloka, Satyaloka, etc. These are only words, promises. They are not realities. Veda vadarata partha nanyad astiti vadinaha. These ritualistic ritual mongers, what do they say? Veda vadarata partha. They are mentioned in the Vedas. So they are true. We cling to them. Don't ask me or don't tell me anything further. This is the truth. Nanyad astiti vadinaha. There are greater and later evaluations as in the Upanishads. No, we don't want to read them. Kamatmanaha. Why? Because their mind is dominated by kama, by desire. Swargaparaha. They are interested in swarga. Janma karma phala pradam. Say from here you go to heaven. From heaven you fall again. So this going and coming, who knows how many times you have already gone there, and the present birth is after how many heaven visits. Janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam. The entire Vedas in the Karma Kanda you will find a number of performances are there. Number. Bhoga Aishwarya gatim prati. All are meant for bhoga and Aishwarya. Bhoga means enjoyment. Aishwarya means prosperity, affluence. Bhoga Aishwarya prasaktanam taya apakrita chetasam. They find this bhoga and Aishwarya alone to be very relevant and useful to human life. And because of that, taya apakrita chetasam, the entire discrimination or viveka in them is completely robbed, stolen by these statements. For such people, Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. For such people, Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Buddhi means intelligence. Vyavasayatmika means resolute buddhi. Let them read the Vedas completely and find out what is the right assessments. Are Vedas meant to be asking people to do something, or are they enlightening? Are they karagas, mandatory, or are they revelatory? Let them understand it, weigh the balance, and finally come to a conclusion. They are not prepared. Their intelligence does not allow them to think in terms of reason, logic and propriety. As a result of which, what happens? The intelligence never becomes stable. They are shaky, they are desultory, flickering always. So, Krishna says that, Arjuna, understand it very clearly. If you want to have a resolute buddhi, an intelligence which will have very good resolve, this is a time you need to fight for 18 days consecutively. And the opposite army is led by Bhishma and Drona. One is your grandfather, another is your own teacher. It is not going to be easy. You must have a very stable, unshakable mind. You must have a clear insight. Both these are not possible from mere ritualistic indulgences, however glorified they may appear to be in the Vedic assessment itself. Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate. Why did I say all these things? Even maybe you are born, well born, either in the Brahma Swabhava, that group, or in Chhatra Swabhava, or in Vaishya Swabhava. By their very birth, they are considered to be very close to God, because the investiture of the sacred thread, the Vedic study and practices, all of them are there. They are sufficient enough to ennoble and elevate a man. But what happens? They fall because they get distance from the life of purity and elevation. Why is Srimad Bhagavatam discussing all these negative, and when you hear it, it appears to be unpleasant, not very sweet? Why is Srimad Bhagavatam discussing all these things? I think I would like you to probe into the point. What is the reason? These are some of the traits which you find commonly in all homes. After all, we are born in our families. In no family you can say the parents, their own grandparents, like that, all of them were pure, noble and great. It is wrong to say my father was not noble or is not noble. But the fact remains, nobility of behavior, elegance of character, and very good, pure and ennobling interactions, these qualities are very rare by their very nature. Whenever we build a house, we don't build it except with the idea of making a comfortable life. How many people build houses making a provision for a puja room there? Very rarely I have found. They will say this is the master bedroom, this is the big drawing room. Nobody refers to a puja room at all. That means you give no place to God. In your house, you are the first and you are the last to live. To make my life comfortable, I have to honor, I have to express my allegiance, gratitude to God. How many people feel in this manner? Do you light a lamp? What is it that you are doing every day as a routine or a ritual, even to express your devotion?